What's up, everybody? It's your man, Dragon Rob 420. Today's an exciting time on the channel. This is my beginner's hardcore guide. This will cover all the things you need to know for your very first hardcore journey, and little tips and tricks to help you with your second or third hardcore character. If you like what you see, make sure to leave me a comment. Let me know things I could do better. Also make sure to hit that like and subscribe button. It really helps me on the channel. I appreciate everybody watching my videos and liking them, and I like talking to the community. So let's go ahead and get on to the idea of hardcore. So for me, when you're going to play hardcore, you try to do a lot of thinking ahead of time. And this all starts off with something as simple as whether or not you're going to play online or offline. Each one has their own pluses and minuses. For online mode, you get to trade. You can also play with other people. Things you do have to worry about in online mode is you do have to worry about connection problems. If your power goes out or your internet messes up or there's just a connection problem on Battle.net, there is a chance that you're going to end up loading back in and your character's dead. It happens to the best of us. There's plenty of people out there who have been in the mid-90s and lost a character randomly. I want to say when D2R first came out, it was a big problem. It's a little bit better now, but you still have to worry about that stuff. The other thing you have to worry about is player killers. If you're playing in open matches, you're not using a private, you're playing on private, people can join. And a lot of times, people will join and people will join and help you and, run you through levels or help you out. But every once in a while, you'll have someone join and, you'll be out XPing and they'll turn hostile, find you and kill you before you have a chance to get back into town. It's unfortunate. It happens. But, like I said, you can just play private matches and not worry about it at all. My favorite mode is offline mode. Okay, with offline mode, you don't really get to max build your character because there is no trading. So you end up using a lot of unique set items that you normally wouldn't pick up and look at, and you end up using them because they're just the best that's available until you find something else. And sometimes this leads to fun little builds that make the game just more enjoyable, and Lord knows that's why we're playing the game in the first place, is to make it enjoyable. Another thing with offline, of course, you don't have to worry about the connection problems. If you disconnect, it just kicks you out of the game, and when you load back up, you're perfectly fine. Which can also be used as a tool to save your hardcore characters. I'm not one to remember to do it, but if you hurry up and kick off your PlayStation, then you should still be alive when you come back. The other thing with hardcore, or with offline hardcore, is you can set your players count. Now, players count does a lot of different things. On the odd number players count, 3, 5, and 7, you get an automatic magic find bonus. On all the rest of the players' counts, you get an XP bonus, and I believe the ruin drop rate gets a little bit better because the game thinks there's more people in it, so more often ruins drop. I would definitely wait until I get into higher levels before I start messing with player count. I want to say usually on my own playthroughs, I don't mess with player count until I get to Nightmare and Duriel, and that's just so I can continue to get decent XP while farming Nightmare and Duriel. Yeah, once we've decided if we're going to play online or offline, our next thing that we need to do is we're going to need to make a mule character. Now, your mule character is there. That way, if you die, you can actually still have your stuff. So I put all of my stuff into my shared stash. Unless it's something that's super specific or I'm just going to hold on to for a little while or I just don't have any room. But that way, if I die when I come back, I have at least some of the gear that I've found and didn't use. When we get to the character select screen, okay, there's a lot of things to think about. Every class has their own pluses and minuses. Okay, and with hardcore, the difficulty level makes it you want to make sure to make the right choices because you don't want it to just randomly die at level 20 or 30 and just keep doing that over and over again. Okay, for me, I like to start off with a paladin, especially as the very, very first time. If I'm going to start a new ladder, I'm going to go ahead and hardcore. I'm going to start off as a paladin or perhaps a barb. Usually a paladin first. Paladins start off with a decent amount of strength. They have good vitality. So that way you have a good HP pool so you don't die as fast. Okay, usually with a paladin, you start off with like a holy fire build, and then you switch over into hammers and become a hammerden. And then hammerden you can actually use as your leveling build all the way through. The joys of hammerden is when you get to hell, there's not that many magic immunes. So as long as you can get used to your hammer trajectory, you can actually be quite successful. And then, of course, if you have a high-level paladin, if you decide you want to go after hellfire torches or annies or anything else like that, it's not very difficult to have a paladin that's capable of smiting to do that. Usually for me, I prefer as my end game build for paladin, I like to run a Fist of the Heavens paladin with a little bit of points to buff up my smite, so that way I can handle smiting things, and that's usually how I handle bosses and whatnot. My other favorite class that I like to start off with brand new and ladder is Barbarian. Barbarian also has plenty of vitality and plenty of strength. You start off as Barbarian using double swing, and then once you get to level 30, you switch over to Warcry. Warcry has a nice AoE. It does physical damage. And then when you get to Hell, the only things you really have to worry about is it doesn't damage Ghost, and it doesn't damage any mobs that come up with Stone Skin, making it super, super easy to play. Okay, your other classes like Sorceress. Sorceress is great because you get teleport. You're the fastest moving thing. You can run through the levels faster than anything, but if you make a mistake and something hits you, you end up dead. For Source, usually start off my Source journey as either make my way to Nova. Start off with, oh man, I can't think of it right now. Just more or less go run lightning builds. I have seen a couple Frost Novas that are actually really, really good. Frost Nova's kind of difficult though because it takes so many points to buff it in order for it to reach max damage. But you can also go with Fireball build. Almost every Source build is good, but you run across the problem when you get into Hell. There's just certain you'll have to come back. You'll have to teleport through certain areas because you just can't kill things. I want to say in Hell, the very first dungeon you go into, which is, oh geez, my brain's shutting down. So much talking. It's the Den of Evil. There's a lot of cold immunes in the Den of Evil. So you kind of skip the Den of Evil until you can either make a hybrid build, which I want to say Blizz, what was it? Was a Hydra Orb? Hydra Orb's a nice hybrid build. But again, you're a Source, so you can just hurry up and just teleport anything and can still kill bosses really, really well with Blizzard. And Blizzard does have the joys if you're not very, very close. Druid, I stay away from the Elemental Druid. Yes, it's the fastest XP build to level up and to get into Hell. But usually if I play Druid, I'll usually play Summoner Druid because it's the safest running build to play at all when it comes to playing hardcore. For the most of the time when you're playing a Summoner Druid, you just let your summons do all the damage and you just kind of stand back and watch. Which is much different than Necromancer, because you don't play Summoner Necromancer until you get to Hell. And that's really just due to the fact of Summoner Necromancer, whenever you fight bosses, if there's no bodies around, you don't have anything to fight the bosses with. Whereas with the Summoner Druid, you can just keep casting your bear over and over again, and just popping mana potions the whole time. Really, when it comes to Necromancer, I'd probably go with the Bone Spear Necromancer up until I got to Hell, and then in Hell decide if I wanted to switch over to the Summoner Necromancer, which is super, super strong and can farm anywhere. But it's slow because if you don't have Enigma, you can't telestomp. So you're more just sending your guys out and hoping they'll all fight each other correctly. But with Bone Necro, you're pretty good all the way through. And, if you got lucky and got a couple drops, Poison Necro is pretty decent also. With Amazon, you definitely start off as a Boazon, and then once you get into the 30s, you switch over to Javazon. Javazon is amazing, especially if you can get Titan's Revenge. But I don't think I'd start off a hardcore journey with that. Assassin is also a lot of fun. I haven't had a chance to play Mosaic Assassin. I want to say the one season that I did Assassin on softcore, I got everything I needed for Mosaic, but I didn't find any bases that I was willing to throw my Gull Ruins in. And then the season ended, and I thought that the Mosaic Ruin Word was going to move into the off season, and it didn't. And so now I just have a bunch of Gull Ruins and Model Ruins for no reason on one of my softcore online tunes. But the Trapsin works really, really well in hardcore, just because you can telegraph traps ahead of you. You know, my next build that I do right now, I'm doing a Barbarian. I'm actually going to go ahead and go into Assassin. I started playing a little bit Assassin the other day, just because I'm at a farming the Countess point in Barbarian. It was getting me kind of bored, to tell you the truth. Now, the other thing, once you pick your class, which the video in the background is actually my Barbarian normal playthrough. You start off, so let's say we start off as even Barbarian or Paladin. So we'll go with the ones that I mentioned were the best to start off with. As far as gear goes, because with both of them, you're going to end up doing melee skills until you can get a little bit higher up. Paladin, you're going to end up with a Holy Fire, which does that fire damage in that automatic AoE, but then adds fire damage to your weapons. So then you go to Sacrifice, or I can't remember what the other skill is. And then with Barbarian, you're going to end up going towards making your way to doing Double Swing. So for both classes, one of the things I would definitely look into as soon as I make my way towards Den of Evil, go ahead and drop my Scroll of Town portal in front of the Den of Evil. I like to kill everything on the way that gets in my way. I don't like to run off the path. But if it's coming at me, I'm going to stop to kill it. Okay, and then, of course, run my way to the Cold Plains, get the Cold Plains waypoint. When I come back into town, I sell off everything that I picked up that is absolutely useless to me. And then I start looking at on a Kara, and I'm going to be checking a Kara because I'm looking for a Scepter. Okay, for Paladin, try to get something that has Holy Fire on it, or anything that would buff Holy Fire. And for Barbarian, it really doesn't matter. I'm just grabbing a Scepter because it's got 50% damage to the undead. Swings pretty fast, and that's what I'm going to end up using. At this point in time, I suppose we're just going to switch over to talking about Barbarian mostly instead of everything. So after I get my first Scepter, of course, run back and use the portal to get to the Den of Evil. Clear out the Den of Evil. Most of my first skill points, my attributes, I go ahead and I'm either going to go Vitality or I'm going to go Strength. I'm trying to get my Strength, I want to say, to like level 45, just because that's when you get to the Crystal Sword, be able to use Spirit. I think you need 45 Strength. And I feel like you need 35 Strength to use a Flail, so that way when you get a Black Flail, you can use it. On the build that you're seeing in the background, I lucked out and I had a full Berserker set and a Sorrows, so I went ahead and got my Strength to 50 so I could wear all of that stuff to begin with. After I get done with the Den of Evil, we're going to go ahead and head back to Akara and sell off everything and see if we can pick up another Scepter. And then we're going to make our way all the way to the Black Marsh, and we're going to go ahead, we're probably going to go to the Darkwood first, and then we're going to go ahead and save Deckard Cain. Now, this is something that you could definitely skip. It's not super necessary to save Deckard Cain every single time you do a playthrough. Really, it's only cost you 100 gold to get identified from Deckard for each item, or you just could carry a Tomb of Identify on you. But when you're playing hardcore, the worst thing that can happen is all of a sudden you're underleveled in a zone. Because then all of a sudden you're going to get hit harder, you're going to get hit faster, and you're going to look up and be like, oh crap, I lost everything. So that's a very important thing for hardcore. Another important thing for hardcore is making sure to pay attention to your resistances. Okay, you always want to try to have your resistances as max as possible. First one I always want to max is my cold resist. And because of those enemies that you fight that are cold enchanted and explode into a Frost Nova when they die, I have been one hit killed by that so many times. So I always try to make sure my cold is up. And then I go with lightning. And then if I'm getting to the point where I'm about to fight Diablo, I like to make sure I face Diablo with a decent amount of fire res also. Okay, after we save Deckard Cain, we're going to go ahead and then we're going to start farming the Countess. All right, the Countess is a really, really good spot to farm. Really on both on normal, nightmare, and hell. Countess almost always drops ruins, and I want to say that in normal, the Countess can drop up to a Ral ruin. Okay, you're going to climb the tower. You always got to remember for the tower that most of the time it's going to have to turn left. And what I end up doing is if I got a guy with a shield, I turn where my shield is. Okay, and then just follow that wall and turn and turn and turn. I believe there's only one possible map spawn that will be to the right. Which reminds me of something I forgot to mention while we were talking about offline and online. And offline, maps are static, so they stay the same unless you change difficulties. So if you get a good map, feel free just to farm something over and over again. But anyway, so we're going to make our way up the Countess. Hopefully by then we have already picked up our mercenary. Fire Rogue works very, very well. When we get to the Countess, we're going to keep farming the Countess until we get 4 Tal ruins, 2 Eth ruins, 1 Ith ruin, and 1 El ruin. Okay, so we're going to use the Tal and the Eth at some point to make a stealth body armor, level 17. It's more or less the best body armor you can get for a while. The big thing, stats on it, and this is also something to remember with boots, is faster run walk is really worth a lot. It's almost worth sacrificing other things just to have faster run walk. The faster you move, the faster you're getting through the game. And then once you get to hell, I guess you can move slower, but... And then it also has a decent amount of mana regen, and I can't remember the other stats, and I don't feel like looking it up right now. Okay, you make a Malice Flail with an Ith, El, and Eth. Okay, and then the last thing you're trying to do is if you can find a 3 open socket flail, you're going to put 3 Tal ruins in it, and that is going to make you a really nasty flail that has plus 226 poison damage, so almost anything will die in a couple ticks in the beginning. If you want to continue to farm the Countess, you can get 2 Ral ruins and 2 Neph ruins and a Tyr rune just to make make it easier on you. With the 2 Ral ruins, when you find 2-socketed headpiece, you can put the 2 Ral ruins, and that will go ahead and give you 60% fire resist. Sorry, words. Okay, and then you can also look for a Nadir with a Nell. With a Neph and a Tyr, it's not a bad headpiece, but a big thing is that you want to get a Hunter's Bow and put 3 Tal ruins on it for a Fire Rogue. Makes for your rogue pretty nasty, and it really helps out. Now when it comes to the leveling, I go for up to level 8, throw everything into Vitality unless I really need to wear, as far as attributes go, if I really need to wear some piece of gear. And then for levels 8, 9, and 10, I put it all into Dex. Then with my skill points, I put everything into Bash until level 6. And then everything into Double Swing until level 10. Some people like to throw a skill point into Leap. It's a movement thing to help you move around faster. I don't ever use it, so I don't ever waste the point. I'd just rather do more damage. After you defeat the Den of Evil, you'll get an extra point. More likely, since you'll already be putting all your points into Double Swing, you can put it into Bash. And once I have 6 points into double, from 11 to 15, I'll put 15 points into Strength and all the rest of it into Vitality. That should give me everything I need. And then once I have 6 points into Double Swing, I'll put 2 points into Mace Mastery. That way I get a little bit extra damage, and then all my remaining skill points until level 15 go into Bash. Okay, and then I've make my way onto Anduriel. Go ahead and take out Anduriel. Now there's something, if you get a really good Anduriel map, even on normal, it is sometimes worthwhile to farm Anduriel a little bit. I usually wait till Nightmare. Anduriel has better drops in Nightmare, so it makes a lot more sense. But if you really need the XP, just go ahead and Anduriel is a good target farm, and then it has the ability to drop some stuff. Then you're going to, no matter what, after I defeat Enduriel, I hurry up and teleport out and I move on to Act 2. Supposedly they fixed the bug fix with Enduriel that if you don't do that, then she is bugged. It doesn't drop nearly at the correct rate. Whatever. They've been doing it for 20 years. I'm just going to keep doing it. You know what I mean? And, as you're going to progress on to Act 2, which I think is what's showing right now. Act 2, you'll take on Radamant. After you get done with Radamant, you'll get another extra point. Considering I continue to put in points into double swing into bash. Just back and forth. I want to say the only real changes I make all the way up until I get to level 30 is when increased stamina becomes available, I'll put a point in that. When increased speed becomes available, I'll put a point in that. Iron Skin, I stick a point in, and I believe Natural Resistance you get at level 30. I'll throw a point in there. But other than that, I'm just really maximizing my double swing and my bash. As far as my gear option goes, stealth isn't 100% necessary to put on. If you can find something slightly better, go ahead and wear it. But stealth is just a good body armor no matter what to have. I like to go ahead and try to find some rings that have life leech or life upon kill, so that way I can keep my HP up the whole time. And then as far as boots go, it's a faster run walk, so what I'm looking for. Obviously tri-res are great and whatnot, but you're not going to find tri-res running through normal. I will put attack speed on my gloves. And really just kind of, that's how I run until I can get, finding gear. I want to say the next Ruin Words that I end up worrying about is level 27. I go with a Sol and an Ort for a lore helmet. And other than that, you're just kind of plugging away with the things that you pick up and as you go. Now, if you're still watching this and you haven't hit that like and subscribe button, let's go ahead and hit that. Lord knows I'm running out of things to talk about anyway, but we're almost through normal. As we go on, you're going to run through all of Act 2. You'll find your Hordric Cube. This gives you the opportunity to craft bases, or you can do different crafting things. Really, in the lower levels, I don't really need it. Most things I do is I'll go ahead and up gems under the hopes at some point of getting a flawless amethyst. And then I always carry a flawless amethyst on me just in case I find a I can't think of the name of the thing, but it ups your jewels. So then it'll up your gems. So I'll carry around a flawless amethyst. That way I can get a perfect amethyst, relatively easy, and then rinse and repeat. I continue checking gear. A lot of the gear that I always check, I'll collect gear for the next job I'm playing. So for this Barbarian playthrough, my next job class I was planning on playing is going to be Assassin. So I've been picking up gloves, looking for IAS gloves, because Assassin's on IAS. I also know that once I hit to level 30, I'm going to be switching to a Warcry Barb, and then I have to worry about my FCR. So I've been picking up FCR rings, FCR necklaces. I usually check every amulet that I can find, just because you never know when you're going to get a plus to skills amulet, and sometimes they're kind of dope. I want to say you can get rare ones that are +3 to skills. I end up with a +3 to Warcry one on this character. Rings, once I have a set of halfway decent, usually a 10% FCR, and then some kind of res, preferably cold res. Rings, I quit picking up rings after that. I always pick up rares, though, just because I can't help myself. I like to pick up gloves, because you never know when you're going to get IAS gloves, or plus the javelin skills gloves. I always pick up Druid pelts, because you can get like a +3 pelt that is really in the beginning of Druid, if you get a +3 to poison creeper, that thing is amazing. But then also you can get the +3 to different elemental skills for the Druid. That works out really good. Pick up wands, or I check Akara for wands, because you're usually looking for wands for your sorceress and your necromancer playthroughs. What else do I pick up all the time? I always pick up jewels, looking for enhanced damage jewels. And really, as far as going through normal, you don't really care about picking up crystal swords in normal until you get to normal cows. Which is a big thing, is in normal cows, if you get a crystal sword and then you take it for a socket quest, it automatically gets 4 sockets, so you can go ahead and get your spirit sword. At level 25, the spirit sword is amazing. With Barbarian, it's even more amazing because you can have 2 of them. It doesn't do a lot of good for the double swing Barbarian, but like I said, as we switch over, we're going to end up being a Warcry Barb anyway. Do you like to pick up pole arms? Just because I do like the Act 2 Merc. And if you can get a 2-socket pole arm, you can give your Act 2 Merc strength, which will give it some crushing blow, and that's really, really helpful when playing against the Ancients or any of your boss fights. Just all around, you enjoy your game, you keep playing, keep going through. Act 2, it's kind of annoying the first time because you have to get the Hoarded Cube. And also the Maggot's Lair or Cave or whatever is kind of one of the most aggravating dungeons there is. For a lot of classes, it's super annoying. It's really, really easy for like Bone Necro and I want to say Molten Boulder Druid and even the Jabazon. But like a lot of your summoner classes or even your sorceress class, it's just kind of hard to target things. Once you get through Act 2 and you go and you fight your summoner, Act 2 also has one of the most difficult bosses to fight. Okay, your Act 2 boss is Duriel. Duriel has a cold aura that if you're a melee class, if you don't have anything that is cannot be frozen, then you end up stuck in this longest fight ever. For me, for this build, I had the belt from the Death set. It has a cannot be frozen on it, so I equipped that, and that helped out. Double swing slowly started getting better and better and better. We make our way, fight Duriel. Act 3 is actually some place where the Barbarian works out really, really well. The Barbarian is pretty amazing at farming the council. So as you progress, if you feel like you're getting a little bit underleveled by the time you get to Act 3, get yourself to the council and just farm the council over and over and over again. What you're really, really trying to do is you're trying to get to, by the time you get to Nightmare, that you're level 30. If you are underleveled when you get to Nightmare, it's going to be kind of rough. And even at level 30, it's kind of rough. But for me, I like to farm cows, get my spirit sword, and then use my respect from normal right at the end. And then that way I can respec, and then I go into Nightmare with whatever spec. So for the Barbarian, when I went to go respec, I respect, and then I went into make a Warcry Barbarian. So I made sure I had the 45 strength to use both my spirit swords. I want to say it was 35 dexterity to make sure I could use my flails. And then I threw all the rest of the points into the vitality. And then as far as my skill points, which before I just start spotting off, I should actually just look up my skill points so I can really, really say it. Sorry, just trying to find my guy. Alright, let's go. Respec. Alright, so for my respec, I went ahead and I wanted to get 1 point into Berserk, which you can run straight down, bash, stun, concentrate, and go straight to Berserk. Okay, the reason for this is Berserk's buffed by Howl and then Battle Orders. So when I go to my War Cries, I put 1 point into Battle Command. I want to set ahead and give myself War Cry. I put as many points into War Cry as I could. Okay, And then I ended up putting, I want to say like 5 points into battle orders, just to make it so that duration, because your battle orders goes up in duration, plus it also goes up in percentages every time you put a point in, but it also gives you 5 more seconds on your battle command. Okay, so battle command gives you, so you have an extra skill point more or less on all of your skills. Okay, so your buffing is battle command, and then you hit battle orders, and then you go fight. Okay, and then any other remaining points that I had, I of course did the one in increase in stamina, one in increased speed, one in iron skin, one in natural resistance, and then I threw all the rest of my points into Howl, because I knew Howl was going to buff Berserk. Okay, at some point I ended up putting 1 point into Mace Mastery, because I wanted to make sure when I got farther along in the game that when I went in and started using my Black Flail, which has Crushing Blow, that I had the Mace Mastery, so my attack rating was a little bit higher, my damage was just a little bit higher, and I had more of a chance to hit. And then all through my leveling so far, I have maxed out Warcry, I maxed out Howl, I threw a couple more points in the battle orders, because if you remember, Berserk also receives buffs from battle orders. You don't want to max out battle orders anyway, but get it like level 10 so you get a nice bonus. Isn't that bad. And then I've been filling up Battle Cry. More than likely, as I go through the rest of this build, because I'm doing a hybrid build, I'm going to have max Warcry, max Battle Cry, max Howl, and I plan on maxing out Berserk last. I also threw 1 point into Find Potion and 1 point into Find Item. So the other great thing about being a Barbarian is the horking. If after you kill something, you can find item its body, and then you have another chance of getting drops on it. Now, as you're progressing through the game, this find item thing in the beginning doesn't really matter. But at some point, which right now in Hell, as I'm playing as my Barbarian, for my Countess runs, I actually have a whole bunch of magic find gear. I'm not really sure why I stuttered there. Magic find gear that I use for whenever I'm horking. You never know what you're going to get on that. Sometimes I've seen people hork Burr and Sur ruins and all sorts of other cool things. So it's the only job that you actually have a second chance of getting things. Now, if you're still watching, make sure to hit that like and subscribe button, because I'm definitely running out of things to talk about. All in all, that's pretty much all I have to go with on as far as your normal build playthrough. You really take your time. Okay, make sure you carry lots of potions, use lots of potions, and you just gotta keep it going, keep it going. If you continue to watch this video, I actually got lucky. I want to say we're in Act 3 right now. When we get to Act 4, when I fought Diablo did drop a Mage Fist for me, which is actually endgame gear for my Warcry Barb. Or Singer Barb, as they actually call it. But thanks for watching. Make sure to leave me like, subscribe, leave me some comments, let me know what's going on, and we'll try to do some more of this. It took me a lot to get this done. Hope everybody enjoys. Catch you next time. Bye.